All right. Welcome back to the Live Your Raw Life podcast. I'm so excited to be here today. Today's conversation feels really special and honestly, really needed. It's very necessary. We're living in a time where so many people are disconnected from their bodies, from the earth, and from true healing. And so at the same time, we're being inundated with more and more technology than ever before. And so, what happens when these two worlds come together in a way that truly supports healing? Well, we're going to find out because today I am so grateful to be sitting down with Jose, the founder of Aztlan Herbal Remedies, who is doing exactly that. He is bridging Mexican herbal wisdom with advanced technology through the use of the Menla Scan. Thank you so much for being here, Jose.
Hey Rachel, thank you. Thank you for having me on your platform. I'm really excited to, talk about these things. And I know you've recently been getting back into your ancestral, reconnecting back into your ancestral roots. That's something I've done for over maybe 20 years ago, and I'm really happy to see that more and more people are really starting to, bring this on board and really get reconnected back into who they're supposed to be and how we resonate with Mother Earth and getting back into the rhythm of the earth and getting back into healing with natural remedies.
Yes, it's so beautiful. I'm so excited to hear your story and not just because about the tools and the techniques that you offer, but more about like your lineage and the deeper way that you started listening to combine these two pieces together and be that bridge for your community. So thank you so much. I'd love to start with a little bit about your background. So what first draw you to the world of healing?
Well, I think for most people, you don't just jump into something just randomly. I think for me personally, and I hear this from a lot of people that reconnected with their ancestral roots. For me personally, I had a need for it. I was at right now I'm about to be 51 years old. I actually started my healing journey when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. At that point, I had a lot of health issues going on. Honestly, I was really bad. I had a lot of gut issues, didn't realize what was really going on. I had a lot of skin issues like eczema, that type of stuff, like even around my ears and different parts of my body. Just to push you back a little further than that, at 3 years old, I contracted what is called meningitis, right? And this meningitis was more of a bacterial type of meningitis. So I went at a young age, I started getting sick. I went through the whole ordeal of going through the whole meningitis. It was this close from taking my life. Me personally, I'm really into connected with my faith. So I feel like God saved me for a purpose. And growing up, obviously, you don't know what that purpose really is, right? And so eventually, as I got older, I've always been that young guy where I was still dealing, getting sick really easy. So things caught up to me fairly fast. So by the time I hit my late 20s, early 30s, obviously still, living off the standard American diet, not knowing what true food is, right, at that time. And it led for me to get sick. They started catching up on me. That's when I started seeing all this nasty eczema. My gut was always bloated. I was constipated. Maybe 2, 3 days I wouldn't go to the restroom. And I would go to doctors and dermatologists, and they'd give me steroid creams. They'd give me whatever I need to take, like antibiotics. It would help. I would tell you that I'm not going to sit here and tell you it didn't help, but it helped for a short term. And eventually those things started creeping back up. I noticed things started getting worse. I got to the point where I was this close. I'm getting almost getting put on diabetic medications and high cholesterol medications at 30 years old. I did end up getting on high blood pressure medications for about 9 years because my pressure was really bad. I didn't realize my nervous system was overworked because I was dealing with a lot of this fungus known as candida fungus growing inside of my digestive system. And that just started making my body go haywire, right? And eventually, going to the doctors back and forth, I was going through this revolving door of never really, getting 100% better, right? I was really embarrassed showing my hands. As you can see, my hands are pretty clean now, but I had fungus everywhere. My nails were all pitted. I'm sure you've probably seen people, occasionally you see people with these type of things, and didn't realize what was really going on. My mother is really deep into healing with natural remedies. It comes in, I believe it comes in my DNA. My mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great great grandmother were all healers out in Mexico. We stem from a part of Mexico known as Michoacan, Mexico, and it's pretty well known in Mexico that those areas they have always been using natural remedies. And I believe that God put a plan in action there since I was a little kid, and eventually started messing around and learning about herbs. I just had that little thing about me where my mother would bring something up. Would always give us some type of remedy, something that would make us feel better. And I started digging more into my ancestral background, so kind of find out the indigenous people that are in Mexico, or that part of Mexico, which is Michoacan, is known as the Purepecha Nation. So I always thought, hey, we're all Aztecs, right? We're all indigenous Aztecs. Didn't realize at that time that there's hundreds of different indigenous communities in Mexico, even here in the States. Those things go back, thousands of years. And once I discovered that, it really intrigued me to learn more about myself and my indigenous background. Didn't Not knowing that I was going to eventually get into the herbs, because that's a big part of indigenous healing is natural remedies. And since my mom already had that knowledge, I started digging, going in with her and mom, what's this for and what's that for, and eventually I surpassed the knowledge that my mother knows, because I obviously I'm more in the modern world now. We have Instagram, we have social media, we have Google searches and everything else. So I went down a bunch of rabbit holes in my life, and I can honestly tell you that I love reading. So I love going deep into the researches and this type of remedy. What is it good for? What does it do inside of the body? And I reconnected with my ancestral side. Just to make a long story short, I learned about these things little by little, and eventually started formulating my own formulas. I never really copied anybody. It's something that I felt was coming from inside of me, reconnecting to my roots. It felt like something was speaking into my brain. Call me crazy if you want. And those things, little by little, I started formulating different formulas to help myself, because I was dealing with health issues. At that time, I wasn't really selling anything. I wasn't really making any formulas for anybody outside of myself. I healed myself within a matter of 6 months. I seen a big dramatic difference on my hands, on my gut, my energy levels, the way I was sleeping. My mental fog was completely gone. I was able to focus a little bit more. And one thing after another, I started sharing my little capsules. I created my first herbal detox capsule. I shared it with another friend that had good issues and a family member. And one thing after another, before you know it, we're over here having a full blown business. This was about 8 years ago. And here we are talking to you on this podcast, excited about, this whole awakening and reconnecting to your ancestral remedies. Just to make that short story a little shorter, that's pretty much how it went down for me.
Wow. Oh
Hmm.
my goodness, Jose, there's so much in your story that I deeply resonate with. I mean, the gut issues and not, using
Yeah.
the restroom for days, that was me, weeks at a time. Until I didn't know that that was abnormal. And then my husband was like, "Rachel, that's not normal." And I'm like, "What? This is how I've always been." And so when you start to like really listen to the body and you give it information that it understands through herbs, through plants, through proper diet and all of the things, then your body's going to respond accordingly. So I love that. And and I appreciate you what you're saying, there is a place, a time and a place for allopathic medicine. And you hit the nail right on the head when you were saying you were taking these medicines, and yet after a time, yes, improvement, but then it got worse. Because when you start taking antibiotics, as I'm sure you wipe out the microbiome with that. And so your body is like struggling even more. So yeah, this is like so multi-layered, and then bringing it back to the earth, it's so beautiful. I love that you come from a long line of healers all the way back to great great grandmother, and just how that wisdom is carried through, and absolutely not crazy. So beautiful that you're listening to the wisdom that your ancestors are sharing with you to bring healing to the people today, and that is leading you to where you are right now and continuing to grow. I love that. So, hearing that this was passed down and that this is part of your DNA, it's part of your culture, opens you up to a community that has been long forgotten with their own roots, with their own ancestors. And so not only are you creating health, but you're bringing that connection to their loved ones as well. What a gift. What a gift.
Yes, 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 absolutely. I think in another life I was an older Mexican lady because I'm so connected with my ancestral roots, and whenever there's a little circle of señoras, sitting around, I'm right smack in the middle of them and speaking their language, and they look at me like, wow, this guy knows a lot, and
Yes.
and it's something that I absorbed. I love karaoke, but I cannot remember lyrics. If I was to sit there and say, hey, in order for you to save your life, you got to remember every single word of this song. Forget it, it's over. But I don't know what it is when it comes down to remedies and herbs and that stuff. I gravitate to it, and I remember it like the back of my hand. It's crazy. I think it's something that's already built into us. Not everybody's meant to be a carpenter, right? Not everybody's meant to be a healer. Not everybody's meant to be an artist. But those people that become that, they have an extra little gift, and I feel like God has blessed me with that gift.
Absolutely. And from what I know about you, it absolutely sounds like that, feels like that. And I love that you didn't silence it. I love that you're letting it come forward and opening it up and showing others that you too can listen to what's your medicine. We all carry medicine, right? Inside of us, and just letting the world see that, which can be scary sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when your body's sick and you're going through something physically, it lowers your frequency. All right. People don't realize, but it does lower your frequency. Once you start taking care of your temple, you start taking care of your body, your frequency starts elevating. And that's when you can tap into that ancestral wisdom.
Yes.
And I think that's what happened to me because when I was down at the bottom of the gutter at that time, when I was very sick, my brain wasn't even able to capture the ideas of these type of things. And once one thing struck and I started making my own remedies and started healing my own body, I seen it to where my frequency started changing, my energy started changing, people started gravitating to me. Like for some reason or another, my high energy or my high frequency gravitates, more people that are in the same frequency, and eventually you reconnect, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's a big part of what people don't understand. Not only is it a physical thing, it's actually a spiritual, and it's a higher frequency, and you're living in a higher your higher self, right? And that's how I've been able to, I don't know what it is, but I've been able to, relate with people and be able to teach people. Until this day, people follow my directions and people start healing.
Yeah, right. They start feeling
Hmm.
better. It's like, okay,
Absolutely.
and then go with it, right?
Yeah,
I also
absolutely.
I also call that clearing the channel. When you clear the channel, the messages, the information, the wisdom can come through even more because you are vibrating at that different level of frequency. And not that, this is something that I've really been sitting with lately is as we shift in our frequency, which we do daily, depending on
Mhm.
who's in our environment, what our environment looks or feels like, we're constantly shifting and changing. And so no frequency is wrong. It's just where we are. But when we
Mhm.
feel good and we have that vibrancy and that vitality in our life, people look at us because you can see it, like they're doing something very unique, and I desire that. And so that is
Yes.
what pulls that, allows you to be the magnet, Jose.
Yes, that's 100%. You're right. It is a magnet.
That's right, exactly. So you've created something really special there in California as Aztlan Herbal Remedies, and blending, that traditional plant medicine with advanced technologies like the Menla Scan. So how did that vision first come to you, or what was the moment for you that you saw these two worlds coming together, where that ancestral herbal wisdom and the modern technology could actually work together instead of being separate?
Well, that part fell right in place because my background, I'm about 30 years into my technical background. So I'm a technician by trade. I'm a person that's very, very technical. I like repairing things. I worked on I've even worked for companies that make machines that detect cancer. at one point. So I was very deep into the technical field. I was into the home automation, home theater systems. I mean, I was really anything that had to do with technology, I'm all about it, right? And since I already had this whole business and I created my formulas and remedies and all that part was already working and thriving for us, helping and just recommending people recommendations based on what they were telling us. But I felt like there was a missing piece there, right? People like to see information or whatever it is that you are able to offer them, not just verbally, right? And doing some digging, I started learning more about different technologies, new technologies that are coming out, even technologies that have been suppressed for many many years. So I learned all about these type of different technologies, and there's something that I married together at one point. I reached out to Susan, and I learned about their company and their kiosk and their scan, the Menla Scan, and I felt like instantly I felt like that was a connection there. There was no doubt about it. I've seen other ones, whatever it was. I don't know, just by speaking to Susan, I felt their energy, but we connected. We're friends as well. And I said, let me bite the bullet and go ahead and purchase one of these machines. I started with the portable system in the beginning, and propped it up in my store. People were coming in. They were like, "What is this machine? What does this do?" They thought it was like a CAT scan. I mean, name it. They were thinking all kinds of stuff, right? And once I started breaking it down and I started educating people about the scan, people were really intrigued about it. They were really, really all for it. And at the same time, since I already had all of my tools, right, with all my remedies, I was able to, marry these two, start scanning people and then giving them or educated them about the scan and what we're looking at and how the gut works and everything else that I have already known. We put that together and people really liked it. And it's something that's been working for us. It works really well. We're even booked like 2 months out of how many people we actually scan. And, it's something that a lot of people like to see. We bring them back in for their follow-up scan. I mean, they're not only seeing that the data that comes out of the scan, but they're actually feeling themselves get better, right? Because now they see that, hey, I got this issue going on. I see I got a little imbalance here. I have it at this degree, right? So people can see at what degree issues or at what severity, right? From no risk to mild risk to moderate risk to severe risk. And based on that, we set it up for them to, if it's some mild risk, then we give them a little bit. But if there's someone that's dealing more hardcore issues, then we go a little longer. We give them special remedies, and the plan that we have set, it works really well for us, and it's something that the old school with the new school with the old school herbs, right? And it's working really good for us.
Yes, it's so beautiful. And I really enjoy hearing you say how people are coming in and not only are they seeing the shift, but they're feeling it. So it's hard
Mhm.
to argue with results that come up on the Menla scan because they're experiencing it for themselves. When you have people come in and they see the system and you teach them about what the Menla scan does, what is their initial reaction? Because I remember what mine was when I first stood in front of the kiosk, because it's kind of commanding. It holds a presence.
Some people get nervous.
Exactly.
They have that. They think they're gonna start getting that white coat syndrome where they start getting all nervous, their pressure goes up, and I'm like, relax, man. It's not. It's a 2 minute scan, So we make them feel comfortable to, hey, you're not walking into a doctor's office. You're walking into a healing center. So that opens them up a little bit more, and it expands their mind to where they take the information and they run with it. And
Mhm.
and truly, we do give information, a little different than when you go into a doctor. You know what I mean? We put no fear in these people. We want people to feel excited. We want them to feel happy with their results. And we don't sit there and try to scare people, right? We're not here to put any fear out there for folks. We're trying to do the opposite of what they're already dealing with. They've gone through tons of different doctors, different specialists. There are people not listening to them. They're not getting the results they're looking for. And that's where we come in. We fill in that little gap, that people don't realize that actually exists. So they get really excited and they go and tell a friend, they go tell a family member, and that's what keeps this stuff going, right? People feel really good, and you give them a really good service, you make them feel really happy, and guess what happens? They come back, you know?
Exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just it. You know, when you get on the Menla scan and you can see your body's mirror, the reflection of what's happening internally, it sits
Mm-hmm.
with you. And also, like you're saying, it's like not putting the fear into them, it's allowing them to see, okay, your body is constantly working towards homeostasis. So let's see how, in your current environment and your lifestyle choices, how is your body responding to that? And then you have the medicine that they can take that's natural, that's, you know, there's no side effects, there's no, you know, there's all these, you don't have to worry about some of these maybe negative influences that, you know, makes them feel extra tired or those kinds of things, because it's all from the earth. And then to come back and see again, like, okay, I've been doing this for, is it like a month, 2 months that they
Two
use?
months.
2 months, that's what I thought. 2 months, come back and see, okay, what shifted? And then they can see it with their own eyes from just 2 minutes. It's brilliant.
It
Absolutely
really
brilliant.
is. It really is, and most people feel it weeks into it, so they don't have to wait the 2 months to, that's going to be more to see the actual results. But weeks into it, people are already starting to feel that their body's starting to heal. Their body's starting to heal. They're starting to feel better. We're big on these 60-day detoxes. That's why we do a 2-month window, because from my experience, we learned over years that you can't detox somebody in 10 days. I think that's a little too aggressive. You're not gonna, if it took you 30 years to get sick, it's not gonna take you 10 days to get better. It takes anywhere from 2 to 6 months, depending on the person. And some people got to go maybe a year deep into it. But we've seen results within, weeks into healing people where they actually said, you know what? Yeah, I can see my results are better on my second scan, but I felt this weeks ago. So, I mean, it's something that's actually working with the body, right? Not necessarily waiting for the 2 months and now all of a sudden I see it. Now I feel better. No, they've been feeling better.
Right. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. I mean, just like, you know, when we were talking about antibiotics early on in your story and how it wipes out the microbiome, to repair the microbiome from one round of antibiotics takes a minimum of 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's if you're actually applying the proper attention, food, supplements to bolster the good bacteria to come back into play. And so you're exactly right. It took you 30 years to not be well. It's not going to take you 10 days to get better. It's a process.
100%.
And so you get to work with the body. And that's the biggest thing, right? Is you're giving it information, whether it's through food, supplements, tinctures, that your body recognizes. It's information that it knows because, you know, we are nature, just like herbal remedies are nature. And so there's a resonance there.
Well, I will tell you that, years of putting ingredients that are not so organic, synthetic, processed, the body doesn't know what to do with them. When you start feeding your body natural remedies, good food, the body says, finally, you gave me something I can work with. All right. And that's a
Yes.
big part of why people start feeling better, because you're giving them the proper ingredients. The body recognizes, let the body do what it's got to do with those ingredients. It knows what to do. It's made for those type of ingredients.
Totally, exactly. Beautiful. Thank you. So in your herbal shop, what does a typical Menla scan and session look like? Because I know you have a consult room, and then all the herbs are around the store as well. So what does a session look like for folks that come in to see you?
Well, obviously we book them ahead of time, you know. We bring them on in, they fill out the paperwork, just their information. It's the Menla Scan paper that we have. They sign off right there. They're knowing that it's not a diagnosis, it's a wellness screening. And we make them feel comfortable. We sit them down, we talk to them for a minute, we input their information into the Menla Scan. We obviously tell them to take off their shoes. They have to be barefoot for this. We put them on the machine. Literally, it takes a whole 2 minutes, right? A whole 2 minutes out of your life, so you can learn a lot about yourself. We bring them into the consultation room. We walk them step by step, screen by screen, data by data information that we give them. based on the results that they're looking at. We're not salespeople here. We're not sitting here just trying to push a bunch of random herbs on people. We base it off of the scan. We never
Mm.
start people with a lot of stuff. The first session they come around, we might give them two or three little things. Most of the time, we give them our 60-day herbal detox bundle that we have. We have a 3-pack of herbal detox. We give them that. That's where the person's going to see the most results. Why? Because most people are walking in with gut issues. I would say the majority of our customers walking in, they're walking in with gut issues. They're trying to work on their symptoms. Oh, my sugar's elevated. My blood pressure's elevated. I get migraines. I get skin issues. I have bloating. All these things are secondary compared to what the gut is actually, work on the gut. Those symptoms start easing. They start getting better. People said, "Hey, why aren't we getting to the root cause of the problem?" Most people, the root cause is going to be the gut. I would say a high amount of my folks that come around in there, and we work with a lot of high amounts of Latinos, Mexican people, and believe it or not, those tacos ain't the healthiest things in the world. Okay, and I'll be the first one to say it. If it was back in the old days, you're making your own corn tortillas, you have your own meats that you're growing in your own farm, maybe that's a little better. But the stuff that we're putting into our bodies now, is not the best. And now that they added folic acid to the tortillas, it's gonna make it a lot worse. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, you are so right. And we get caught into, well, there's vegetables in it.
The
Doesn't
onion,
matter.
right?
Yeah, right. And there's
The
some
onion will kill the
lettuce.
disease. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just really common for so many of us to be so removed from what is actually in our food. And when
Yeah.
you really start diving down that rabbit hole, that changes the game. And I really appreciate that you're really putting a lot of focus on the microbiome and on the gut, because that's the center of our universe in our body. That's where we absorb our minerals. It's where we get our nutrients. There's so many beneficial aspects of life that happen in the belly. And so I love that. That's amazing. When you see someone that maybe is just starting to reconnect with their own bodies, they're like, okay, the symptoms that I'm experiencing are now way louder than they've ever been. How would you say the Menla Scan helps people connect back to themselves?
Well, it does show them the severity of their issues, I think most people, when we do work in that little section of where it shows the gut, right? It shows the different inflammation of the gut. That's where most people start understanding that they really are dealing with some type of gut issue. And believe it or not, most people already know. Most people already know that they have some type of gut issue. And that part is where people really we put the pieces of the puzzle together for them. Once we do that, people start understanding. And once they start working with those remedies that start focusing more on the gut, getting the microbiome healthier, people notice a huge difference on how they start healing.
Yes, absolutely. I want to come back to plants and their medicine that they hold for just a minute. What is one thing that you wish people understood more about using plants and their roles in healing?
That is not an overnight quick fix. All right. That it's not something you're going to take like an aspirin. 30 minutes later, your pain is gone. You have
Mm.
to be patient. You have to be disciplined. The more consistent you are, the better results you get, right? Because even me, from when I started jumping into my own healing journey, I take something for a week and I'm like, oh, that's not working. Check it off. Nope. How about this one? Trying to over saturate my body with different types of remedies and doing too much at once, right? I highly recommend start slow, be consistent. If I give you 20 different things, how are you gonna know which one's helping you? Right?
Mm.
So you start with one, you work something. Okay, I did this for a couple of weeks. I'm starting to feel better. Continue going down that rabbit hole. Continue taking that herb. Okay, you check that off. Okay, this one actually helps me for this issue. And you start educating and you start learning one by one. Because look, we like to simplify everything. We don't like to make things overly complicated. There's a lot of that stuff going around the world already. Scientists, nothing, I'm not knocking any of these people. Scientists, doctors, a lot of technical information, and in reality, my great grandma didn't know what properties were in palo azul to know that it helps your kidneys. These are the things that we have been using for generations, and we already know what works for the kidneys. And for me, simple, make everything simple, keep everything simple, because not everybody wants things that are overcomplicated. Teach people, make things, keep it simple, and keep it traditional the way it should be.
Yes. Oh, I
Mhm.
love that. And if you think about it, like a plant, you don't plant a seed and then tomorrow you go out and there it is.
Yeah.
And so when we mimic and mirror the magic of nature, it helps us to slow down, find our own rhythm, be in our own season, and follow the cycles of our life, of the patterns, just like Mother Nature does with the cycles of the seasons and the growing and all of those things. So I love that. That's a great approach. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. How has this work changed you on a personal level?
Me on a personal level, I feel really good going to sleep. When I put my
Mm,
head on the pillow, I feel like I'm doing God's work,
mm,
reconnecting to earth, back into, my ancestral connections. I felt like I have become a better version of myself compared
mm.
to when I was dealing with my health issues. So to me, it's that. It's that.
Yeah, what a gift. I mean, to be able to go to bed each night knowing that you were living in your purpose. And as a result of the service that you're offering in the world, other people are going to bed feeling better. They're feeling healthier. They're feeling more vibrant just by these little simple shifts and changes by adding some of these herbal remedies in. Oh, that's so beautiful. What an
Oh
amazing
yeah.
gift you have, sir. I'm just impressed with you.
Thank you, Rachel. I really appreciate that. I mean, we're trying our best here. Are we perfect? No, by no means. Nobody's perfect, but we're doing a lot of good for people. From all
Absolutely.
walks of life, not only Latinos, from all walks of life. Our doors are always open to anybody that wants to come chat it up, that want to learn about remedies, how to heal yourself the traditional ways. We're here to help.
Yeah, I love that. And you had mentioned just a little bit ago about the Palo Azul, and that was something that I had reached out to you about because I was like, okay, this is something I have going on in my body. I've been contending with non-alcoholic fatty liver, and so putting a ton of focus on my liver for the last decade with not seeing a lot of change and actually getting a little curious if things are going in the wrong direction because of my Menla scans results that I've been seeing. And so I was like, okay, well, what's a little bit deeper rooted than the liver? What is that? Where's their connection that I can maybe try a different angle? And when I reached out to you, it was like, okay, I feel like I need to work on my kidneys. What do I do? And you were like, Palo Azul. And I have been drinking that morning and night. And I'm starting to feel a difference within the first 2 weeks, just like you said earlier. It's amazing. And also, when you start working with these plants, you can start hearing the messages of your body more clearly. And I think many of us have become disconnected from being able to hear that. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. People don't realize that, the herbs, the plants, they have spirits in them, you
Yes.
know, that reconnect with our spirit. So, believe it or not, there's people that can't heal their physical issues because it's more of a spiritual thing, you know. So there are even ancestral remedies that work even deeper into the spiritual realm, of like ayahuasca, bufo, kambo, all of these different plant medicines that people have used to reconnect to their spiritual side, right? And the physical is a big part of it. So when you start drinking like palo azul, you're bringing in the spirit of the plant. So it's not just like taking an aspirin that has no life in it. You're bringing life into you. And the best thing that I always tell people, before you drink your herbs or your tea or you take your medicine, put a little blessing in it. That's
Mm.
the magic. You have to put a little blessing. You want to ask that plant to come into you and heal you, because that's how you're going to reconnect with yourself. And believe it or not, that little extra love that you put into it, you get better results from that.
Yeah, there's synergy there then
There
because,
is.
yes, there's communion.
I've always put a little blessing in it, put my spirit into it, ask the plant medicine to heal you, and people start getting better. I've gotten better. So I mean, I'm proof. I mean, if I was able to do it and I was there, having a lot of health issues, trust me, a lot of folks can do it.
Yes, and I would highly recommend for all of our listeners to follow you on social because you were so brave recently. I saw your reel that you put out about when you were 3 and you had that bacterial meningitis and what that looked like and all that you went through the medical system. And of course, and I, again, just like you had so beautifully said earlier, I'm not discounting any of that. All of that probably played a role in saving you,
It
right?
saved my butt.
Exactly. And so, if we can get ahead of those things by using what's natural, by using what's from the earth, that's going to just change the game for so many of us. And especially starting with children at a younger age, getting them to understand that synergy between their food and their body and how they feel and the energy they have and what they feel in their mind, too. That's a whole thing you mentioned earlier, like brain fog. Okay. Oh my goodness. When we start taking herbal remedies and detoxing the system, you're like, wow, it's like the fog, the clouds have moved out of the head. You can find your words, you can find that clarity. And so it is this beautiful trifecta of body, mind, and spirit when you start working with plants and medicine like this.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you hit the nail on the head. Educating our young is a big part of spreading this and help having our future generations keep up with this knowledge. And I hope I bring a little bit extra to the table when it comes down to that. Because there are a lot of children, a lot of youngsters nowadays, and I run into them all the time. Speaking to these parents that now they're dealing with diabetes at a young age. They're dealing with ADHD, ADD, all these learning disabilities, mental health issues, and people don't realize that it has everything to do with what you put in on the plate of that child. If
Yes.
you're sitting there eating a bunch of junk, I mean, they're going to respond just like that. And we start changing the mentality of the parent to be able to help the child. And I've seen a lot of people that were not even close to knowing anything about herbs, and once they start getting into it, they start feeling better. They start removing all kinds of stuff out of their refrigerators. Even their children are starting to benefit. They're trying to think clear. They're trying to get rid of those issues that they're dealing with, because that's a big part of us as humans to be able to get to the next generation. It's very important.
It
Very important.
is absolutely. I was a physical education and health teacher for 15 years in public schools, and I can say that there were a lot of students that would come in and it was very clear they had that attention deficit disorder, they were hyperactive. And I think I had the fun classroom because I was in the gym and all the kids really wanted to be there because they got to move their body and play with their friends, and we always made it a fun game. But I will tell you this, when I saw some of the students come in that started using some of these prescription drugs to, mask the ADD or the ADHD, Jose, it was really, really sad. I mean, they turned into zombies. There was nothing there. There's nothing going on. And there's this one student I can remember so clearly. She was in 3rd grade, and we had gotten the note the day before that she was going to be on this new medication, and she was standing in line to come into the gym as I was giving instructions, and I was looking at her and no one was home. It was just glassy eyed, and it was the most hard because she was so alive. She was so full of life and potential, and it just completely drained her from her authenticity, from her humanity, really. And it's like there has to be another way. And so I love that you're talking about what we put on their plates is so important. And that, of course, goes then down a whole other rabbit hole of what are they serving at
Yeah.
school and blah, blah, blah. And the education, because I
Yeah.
know what we receive for health education, at least in a couple states in this country, and it's very, very small. And so now it's like we kind of have to educate the parents on what they didn't receive in their education.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like I mentioned earlier in the beginning, that whole standard American diet thing, I think is backwards, to be honest with you. I think, I mean, we can go, like I said, we can go down those rabbit holes and maybe another day, right? But It has a lot to do with it. I mean, it's what you put into your body is how your body's going to respond. If you put junk in it, you're going to think like junk. If you put good stuff in it, you're going to think really good. But yeah, though, like you mentioned, that little girl, she was probably numb and just so disconnected because I think those medicines are a little aggressive because in the whole modern medicine, when someone's dealing with something up here, they focus on this. All right. If they focus on the gut, which you have that whole gut and brain connection, this starts clearing up. So it's not necessarily just focus on this. You focus on this so this can get clear. And that's just the way it works.
Exactly. Yes, I love it. Oh, you so get it. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. If someone was feeling out of alignment in their body right now, and maybe they don't live near you, so they're not able to get into your shop, what is one small step you would invite them to take?
The biggest thing that I guess that you can do is start listening to your body. You know, that's the big part that we just think we just flow through work, we flow through our daily activities, but we don't stop to slow down. You have to give your body a break. It's been running on fight and flight mode for many, many years, and we got to learn how to bring and tone down that body from being over revved up. First thing is, well, reground yourself, right? Like people don't realize, but grounding yourself is a big connection to the earth. Listening to your gut, that's the most important thing. If I was going to tell somebody to work on something, start rebuilding your gut flora, which is number one. That is what sets the tone for the day, for your life in general. If your gut flora is messed up, you're not able to flow, things are being slowed down inside of your digestive system, you start backing up the lymphatic system. I mean, that's when people start getting into trouble. So just slow things down, listen to yourself. And if you don't know anything about herbs, just start one thing at a time. Maybe just start working on something to, work on the gut. That's going to be my number one step. You work on the gut and you're going to start seeing results. All right. That'll be my number one advice.
So, what do you have that they could order that could support them working on the gut?
Well, lucky for a lot of folks is that I already figured it out for everybody. You don't got to sit there and do all your research. I mean, I've worked with tens of thousands of people over all these years, and I've helped them get their gut better. Number one key is focus on what you're taking out of your body, not necessarily what you're putting into your body. If I put
Mm.
you on a deserted island and you go out there and for a couple of weeks, I guarantee you're gonna start getting healthier without any herbs. All right. That's just the way the body works. But if you want to speed up the process, we do have a capsule. It's in a capsule form. The reason I put it in a capsule form because these herbs are very bitter, and a lot of people ain't gonna drink them in a tea form. All right. We have an herbal capsule known as Herbal Detox. So one bottle supports you for like 3 weeks. We have a three pack of Herbal Detox. It comes with a little QR code on the side of the bottle. You scan it with your cell phone, you download the detox guide, and it breaks it down step by step about the benefits, each individual herbs, what to do to prolong your health, a whole bunch of information. So if I was going to start anybody on anything, our number one seller is the Herbal Detox package. It's a 3 pack for $75. I can't make it any cheaper. You can walk a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. All right. And that's exactly what we're working with. I would definitely recommend our Herbal Detox capsule and take it
Uh,
for 60 days. That's what the 3 pack's for. It's a 60-day cleanse and it's very gentle. Doesn't make
mm.
you run to the bathroom. You don't gotta go sit there, stay home from work. You don't need no special holiday to start your healing journey. Just jump on it the day you get it. It's that simple. 2 capsules in the morning, 2 capsules in the evening, with or without food. Not gonna turn your stomach. Be trustful in the herbs. Have a little faith. As the weeks go on, you're gonna start noticing your digestive system is gonna start flowing, and if you're dealing with bloating or any type of constipation, that's exactly what it's good for.
Perfect. I'm going to include a link for that in the description below so
Thank
people can
you.
go right to your website and order up that herbal detox to get started with healing the microbiome right out of the gate. If
Yeah,
there are
100%.
people that are tuning in that are in or near your community there in California, where can people connect with you and experience your work?
Well, use social media, Instagram. I'm big on Instagram, Facebook as well. TikTok has been giving us little issues here and there, so let's ignore them for a little while until we get it fixed. But if you were, so my handle on my social media, I go by Indigenous Herbalist. Okay, You can, if you type in Indigenous Herbalist into your just a Google search, or just type it in into Instagram, you're gonna see our page come up. And if you want our business page, you can go to Aztlan Herbal Remedies. You can find us on there as well. And if you're local, I mean, you're local here in Los Angeles or any county nearby, and you want to take a drive down to visit us, we are available from Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our address is 21720 South Vermont Avenue in the city of Torrance. Just come to Unit 111, my lucky number, and you'll find us there.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to include all of that information as well in the show notes below. Jose, wow. I am just honored to have taken this time with you, to have you share your wisdom, your story, and the service that you offer to healing the world. And thank you so much for the work you do. Thank you for bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and advanced technology with the Menla Scan and helping your community heal.
Rachel, I want to thank you for the platform. Thank you for doing God's work. You're out there teaching people, educating people because you believe in it, and keep doing your thing. You know, people are going to gravitate to you. You have a great personality. You're awesome. I appreciate the questions. Thank you for allowing me to come on your platform and share this knowledge for people. I thank you very much for that.
Absolutely. Truly my pleasure. If you've been enjoying these conversations and feel called to experience some of this work for yourself, I invite you to join me over on Insight Timer, which is a beautiful space where I offer guided meditation, yoga classes, Tao Hands blessings, and my Sacred Alignment Circle, which is a gathering where we come together in shared intention, remembering that we are all connected and that healing deepens in community. These circles are a space for reflection, grounding, and returning to balance together. Simply search Rachel Ann Watkins on Insight Timer and you'll find a growing library of practices to support your journey. It would be an honor to continue to serve you there. Namaste.